Bend Around the Wind by Skylia. Chapter 64. Compassion. Warning. This chapter contains adult themes. In order to keep this channel PG rated, I have skipped that part of the chapter and have rewritten it as best I can. For the original version in its entirety, please visit the link in the descriptions. Just like every morning, he woke up to the very familiar feeling of Stark's arms around him and soft fur brushing his shoulders. Loki kept the pelts from his hunt on Sarga on their bed when they were on the ship, and he obviously wanted to cover their bed with it here as well. Stark did not object at all. Loki could never get tired of waking up in Stark's arms. Loki may have been the one to rest his head on the other's shoulder, pressed close to his side, but Stark was the one to wrap him up in his arms and legs, keeping them as close as possible. Even in his sleep, he did not let go. They always woke up incredibly warm because of it, but neither of them seemed to mind. It was never that hot on the ship, and Stark's bedroom was also just pleasantly warm. Jarvis was not the one who woke him. It must have been still too early to get up, so Loki just moved a bit to settle down again. Stark unconsciously shifted with him to keep them close. If Loki let him, and there was actually no reason to deny him, the man could be very affectionate. He had a fascination with Loki's hands as of late. It started when Loki started to use his magic again. Certainly there were various gestures involved in some spells, but Loki really did not understand it at first. Now he thought it was not the spell work itself that fascinated Stark, but the power Loki weaved with his hands. That he could understand. After all, he himself was captured by the many things Stark could create with his hands. Hatchet said that the pair of them were masters of both creation and destruction, and that was why they were so hopelessly intertwined with one another. Now that he had enough time to figure him out, Hatchet was rather fond of Stark, albeit he did his best to hide it. It wasn't just that he could match both Loki and Hatchet with his words and sense of humor. Every time Stark renewably proved his unwavering loyalty and his love, Hatchet approved of him more and more. Not that Loki would have done anything in case Hatchet disliked Stark, but it was better to have peace between the two. Well, relative peace. Trading insults became their favorite pastime, and sometimes it escalated into complete fighting. He was absolutely certain that Stark enjoyed those just as much as Hatchet. For a long time now, the fights between Loki and Stark were playful at best and almost always turned into flirting and more. Even their insults sounded like endearments. It was all disgustingly sweet, and Loki couldn't care less. He had Hatchet and even Juyu if he wanted to trade insults with someone to amuse himself and pass the time. There was no chance of falling back to sleep once his mind started working, so he was contemplating whether to stay in bed and get bored in a matter of minutes, or untangle himself from Stark's arms. Neither sounded all too appealing. The choice was taken out of his hands when Stark stirred and woke up as well. Jarvis automatically changed the windows from full dark to be lightly tinged to let in some of the morning sunlight. Stark rubbed his eyes and smiled down at him sleepily, looking just as dazed as always. He never woke up completely before his morning shower. "Morning, gorgeous," he said. It should have sounded ridiculous, but instead it just sounded fond and honest. Loki was not big enough a liar to deny that he was vain and enjoyed hearing such things. Loki just hummed and ran his fingers up Stark's sleep-warm skin. "You still feel colder than usual," Stark said, not moving just yet. Loki opened his eyes finally at that, only to be greeted by his own blue hand on Stark's chest. "Oh, I forgot," he said faintly, and was surprised to realize that it was the truth. "It's great," Stark said. "Almost 24 hours. It's the longest you stayed like this." He smiled as he put a kiss on Loki's forehead, tightening his arms around Loki's frame. "I still don't like it," Loki told him. "It's fine, I like it enough for the both of us." The astonishing thing about that was that he was not lying. It was no empty platitude, but the honest truth. Stark was never ashamed about pleasure and never hid his want or arousal. Loki had yet to find a shape that dimmed that particular fire in Stark's gaze. Loki stared at his blue fingers as they slid up and down on Stark's skin next to the arc reactor, and he didn't tense. His muscles remained relaxed, his heartbeat even. It was not pleasant to look at his skin like this, but it did not coil his stomach into a tight ball of disgusted anger either. Maybe it was just the way Stark kept stroking his back that kept him peaceful. Maybe he was finally starting to adjust, like Stark and Hatchet insisted he would eventually.
Want to take a shower with me?
Stark asked then. Loki frowned. Why? He could see the point of using Stark's giant tub together, but the shower was just for a quick cleanup.
Because we only had a ridiculously small shower on the ship, and the one I have here is preposterously big and luxurious, and I have a thing for how you look with wet hair.
Loki huffed and finally rolled away from Stark to stretch some of his muscles. That's when thought occurred to him. Oh, you want me to stay like this? He said.
You can shift back if you want,
Tony said easily.
I just never saw you naked like this. I'm kind of curious to see how your lines continue, whether they swirl around your calves and feet, how they look on your back, whether you have some on your hips and your thighs.
There was no mistaking the look in Stark's eyes now. And why are you so curious? Loki asked as he turned over to his stomach and raised himself up to his elbows to look down at the man.
Maybe because I want to follow them with my tongue,
Stark said, not hiding the heat in his gaze at all.
Maybe I could start on your neck and see where they take me.
Good incentive, Loki admitted, because he could already feel himself hardening. Even if you are very odd,
Loki told him. Nothing odd about it,
Stark said in return.
It's you naked and wet in a shower.
Stark had to know that it was not what Loki meant, but his answer was all the better because of that. Loki liked this shower a lot more than the one on the ship. Even if given the choice, he would always pick a bath instead. He started undressing, and he refused to think himself a coward for avoiding to look at the mirror in the bathroom. Stark, of course, couldn't let it go.
Wait, have you ever looked at yourself like this? At all?
I know what I look like, Loki said.
Do you? Do you really? Or do you just picture some random joking with your height?
Loki tossed down the undershirt he just pulled off and turned around to glare at the man. Will you stop pushing this? Am I not doing enough? Why is it so interesting? Why are you so fascinated all of a sudden?
Hey, no, it's not like that. Stark interrupted. I'm not growing some Jotun fetish here, okay? It's not about me. You know I'm not going to push it.
Stark argued as he stepped closer and put a hand around Loki's forearm.
You say it's enough and I back off, you know that. One word and I'm shutting up. And you know you turned me on every freaking way. I thought you were hot when you were raping on a god. Even when you were bald and skull green on Yerb. It's not about your skin, alright? I'm just trying to make this easier for you.
It's just exhausting, Loki said after a moment of pause. It's a constant reminder of every lie I've been told.
I know,
Stark said, stepping even closer. It feels like once I accept this as reality, then whom I used to be before will cease to exist completely. The Aesir, the god, it will all be gone. It's like I'm letting go.
You won't stop being yourself,
Stark said.
And you can damn well be whoever you want to be. Aesir, Jotun, both, neither. You'll always be Loki.
Just Loki,
he said. No, there's nothing just about it. How about the Loki? It has a much nicer ring to it.
Loki huffed at a laugh and shook his head. You drive me up the wall, you foolish human.
You love it.
Stark smiled and wrapped an arm around Loki's waist. Ready? Loki sighed. Let's get this over with. You promised to put your tongue to good use, and so far, you've only been talking. Loki did change back into his Aesir form before getting breakfast, because enough was enough. He would have to slip back into his Jotun skin next week anyway. He found Hatchet and Banner sitting by the table, and it sort of made him freeze for a moment. What did I tell you? He looked at the elf. What? He's not green. I was good. Hatchet said right away, and alright, fair enough. There was no trace of the Hulk in Banner's gaze. Fine, Loki nodded. Hatchet was no child. He did not need to be treated as one. He went to prepare a morning tea for himself and some food. Hatchet's been telling me about Alfheim and Vanheim, Banner said. It was educational. And magic, Hatchet said. The guardian scientists are so curious. I thought Stark was more of an exception than a rule. Why would we start looking for answers about the world around us if we were not curious? Banner asked. Fair point, Hatchet said. Your race has not always been so dedicated about finding out the truth, though. A few centuries ago, you accepted everything as magic instead of asking questions. There were great thinkers even back then, even long before that, Banner said. But there's always a difference between the masses and the intellectuals. Oh, that is the same everywhere, Hatchet agreed. He was strangely polite and peaceful now that Loki paid attention. He turned around and looked at him. Is something wrong? He asked. Why? Hatchet asked. Did I do something? Loki asked. He did not accuse, merely inquired. Because I'm behaving? Hatchet asked. Yes, Loki said. I told Jarvis to show him some footage of the Hulk, Banner said with a small smile, since he was so curious. Ah, I see, Loki said as he turned back to the counter. And I'm not stupid, Hatchet said. Also, I kind of like this house. It would be a shame if it got turned into a pile of rubble. I have much better control now, even as the Hulk, Banner said. I would only worry about your safety. The Hulk has a lot lower tolerance than I do. Yes, I know. I'd be broken in half, Hatchet sighed. Loki sat down next to him. Tony? Banner asked. He wanted to check something at his workshop before having breakfast, Loki told him. But Jarvis could call him if it's urgent. Not urgent. I just figured I should go back to New York now, Banner said. So I wondered if I could use his jet. I could take you, Loki offered as he sipped his tea. Banner just looked at him dubiously over his glasses. It would take a minute instead of hours, he added. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, Banner said. Trusting me, you mean? Loki said. Banner shrugged. You cannot honestly be surprised by that. Can't say I am, Loki said. But I was the one who brought you here in the first place, so I don't see the logic in being cautious. The logic is simple. I don't trust you, I don't trust your intentions, and I don't trust whatever you're planning. Loki put down his cup before he looked at the man again. You should trust your friend, Loki said. You mean the friend who's stupidly in love with you? Banner asked in return. Trust that his judgment is not clouded when it comes to you? Fine, fly with a plane. I was just being polite, Loki told him and stood up from the table, grabbing his plate and cup. Look, I actually believe that you don't want to hurt Tony, Banner said before Loki could leave. I'm just not so confident when it comes to the rest of us. The people love Tony now, but what if the world turns against him? Do we have to be wary of you again then? Right now, I think the answer is yes. I think that if it wasn't for Tony, you wouldn't give a crap about any of us. That you're just playing nice to make him happy. And that's not a good enough reason for me to trust you. I appreciate your honesty, Loki said diplomatically, leaving the room without looking back. He was not surprised when Hatchet followed a moment later. I hate to say this, but he's kind of right, Hatchet said. I know you don't care about most humans. Nobody cares about all humans, only ridiculously selfless, self-proclaimed heroes, Loki said as he sat down in the living room, putting his plated cup on the coffee table. Hatchet sat down next to him. Not even humans care about all humans. We could search out the local folk, Hatchet said. Make some friends, maybe? Would give a good non-sentimental reason why we're invested in the well-being of Midgard. You could try to convince the humans that you're not their enemy, but I don't think you will have much luck with it. Not even with Stark vouching for you. If you can't convince them you like humans, because, let's be honest, you don't actually like them, then we could claim we care for the Fae folk. Are there still Fae on Midgard now? Loki asked. There should be some, Hatchet said. I've known most wandered over to Alfheim and Svartalfheim when the humans started cutting down their forests, but I can look around. It could actually help to have some local allies, no? Unpredictable allies, Loki pointed out. Better than nothing, Hatchet said. And if we make friends with the Midgardian Fae, then the ones on Alfheim would be a lot more willing to claim you as friend too. Don't underestimate the help I can give you. And if the Titan gets here, it's not just the humans in danger, so they will probably be willing to make friends. Fine, Loki nodded. Find me some Fae. They have as much right to Midgard as humans, if not more. They were here longer, after all. And don't promise them anything before I talk with Stark about it. Hatchet grinned, sharp and pleased, then nodded and whisked away invisibly.